Just letting a few more people trickle in, but for now I'm going to open up the ability for you guys to raise your hands. So if you've got a question for us, feel free to raise your hand. And yeah, hopefully we'll get some more people in here as well. And we'll get started shortly. We'll get started in just a moment. There's just people invading the office, bringing a desk in. This is someone none of you know. He's going to say hi.
Hello.
The mic's over there.
Oh, the mic is over here. Apple was telling me that he thinks that that I could beat all of you in Minecraft PvP.
Yes. Cool.
How many people are in here?
50.
50. Oh, yeah. I can take all of you guys on. All of you.
Well, that
Cool.
is the beauty of the day.
Yo, is that Chase? I can't tell through your mic, Apple.
Yes, it is Chase.
What's
Yes,
that?
it's Chase.
Yep. Alrighty, see ya. Alrighty. So we're gonna get started with some of your guys' Q&A questions. First up to the stage is streamer mode wasn't on. I'd be able to see Bionium. Biomium? Welcome up to the stage. Hello, hello.
Hello? I might work.
Hello. Yes, it is.
So I guess my first thing would be this is something myself and others have suggested is a fixed merchant at spawn. Because ranks didn't carry over, I started off this map as a non, and repair scrolls might be sufficient for adventurers, but when you're farming like 14 hours a day, I know that there were multiple hours I wasn't playing because I was no one on my island to fix for me. You burn through repair scrolls so quickly when you're farming.
I mean, you've
I
also
think
got the Reforged enchant and whatnot too, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be quite helpful for new players who might not know about Reforged or like what's it called, the blacksmith pet,
Mhm.
and and often they can't get them right away because it's still kind of inconvenient to have to teleport to spawn, then go and find the merchant, and then like fix it that way. But I think it would make an easy way for people to like be able to fix stuff without actually negating the benefits of the ranks. I think people are still going to get ranks anyway because of the convenience factor.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, of course, like the rank, it is like a rank perk. So to then go and make it a thing at spawn is it does take away from the ranks, but then again, like it's like the sort of question of like, is it really that beneficial at that point if it's causing this many players to feel this way and to not have access to stuff? But yeah, definitely good note. Yep.
Another thing I was wondering was in regards to clue scrolls. In my experience, they've been kind of bad. Like when I've been farming or grinding, I found that it's a better use of my time to just keep farming or keep grinding rather than to do clue scrolls. And I literally have double chests full of them, and I just don't do them because they're not worth my time. I think it would be quite cool if they were made rarer, so they're more difficult to find. But when you do find them, there's much better rewards from them, so they are worth spending your time doing.
The rewards can't be like too good for rare scrolls. I'd say for clue scrolls, I'd say because then they have to be too rare in that sort of sense. I know, like thinking about how they were structured on prisons, and we had clue scrolls give you like contrabands and the island, not the island XP, the player EXP bottle. Like, I guess what you're kind of trying to say is just like the rewards you get for doing a clue scroll is not worth the time you have to put into actually the time you're missing with grinding. And yeah, interesting. Yeah, I definitely have it like on our list to like go through with Tater the like clue scroll loot tables as well. So those are going to be addressed before map number 3.
Because in my opinion, because they're like not something you can always do, you actually have to find the item to do them. They're not something you can always do like farming or slaying or fishing, that kind of thing. I feel like they should be like one of the best uses of your time as an islander you can do. And in my experience, they haven't been.
Yep, I gotcha. I mean, we've also got some. We're also cooking up some stuff with like other like sort of like challenges, whatnot, for islands to do, which will take away from like the main like point of grinding your islands as well. I'm not going to go into too much with that, but yeah, I think the clue scroll loot itself is definitely going to be tweaked for map number 3. Either tweaked or, I mean, if a decision comes before map number 3 that's different, then of course that'll be what happens. But for right now, the plan is just to tweak the loot tables for clue scrolls to make them more relevant, to make them more worth your time, because of course right now they aren't a very engaging / used aspect of the game. Yep.
One really quick one was: is there a reason for the 10-second PV cooldown on when you change worlds?
Yes, there is. I mean, but like, yeah, there's a reason. That's why it's there.
Is that reason something that's publicly shared?
Just the fact that it's there is, yeah. Yeah, it's one of these sorts of like safeguard things that we do to prevent exploiting.
Yeah, I think that would be the case.
Yeah, so as much as it is a little bit inconvenient at the end of the day, it only affects you for like 10 seconds after you switch a world. So if you just have to sit there for 10 seconds, I know it sucks, but it is something that unfortunately is going to be staying for now.
Does it have to be as high as 10 seconds to prevent exploits? Because I feel like if it was put down to like 5 seconds, it would be like not even noticeable.
That I don't think so.
Okay.
But I'll
No
make it
worries.
to see. Yeah.
Cheers for the
Alrighty,
questions.
well, yeah, thank you. Alrighty, next up we have got CCEZ.
Right, so is my mic working or?
Yes, it is. Yep, you're good. Hello?
2-month
I heard you.
season on map 2, and it was horrible.
So I heard you say, "Is my mic working?" And then I hear you say something. Map 2 was horrible. So there was a bit of cut out there.
Map 3. Is there going to be any changes for balancing towards smaller teams? because in map 2 I went for a duo map and it was like painful. It was painfully slow. It took us way too long because there's just you can't grind enough. So I was wondering if there's going to be any balance in, for example, something like IS scaling. So dependent on how many people are on your team, you'd have to farm more or less. And to prevent exploiting of this, remove permission blocks gaining towards the IS requirements and things like that.
So there's not any like balance changes which are necessarily like being addressed towards smaller islands. All the balance changes are being implemented for the main like island progression, which is going to affect both larger islands and smaller islands, of course. But the goal kind of is like smaller islands, of course, will at the end of the day have to spend more time leveling up their island compared to if like 25 people were doing the same sort of thing. That's always going to be a thing. But I'd say with the kind of overall balance we're trying to do with both like the adventure loot tables and with the skill, the balance changes we're trying to do to skills, it should be. I mean, I can't say for sure it's going to be like easier or less easy than it was this map because I don't know how it felt for you specifically, but it definitely should be. It should be in a better place to give you at least time to catch up to islands before those islands start to like go into like higher and higher levels.
Just the requirements of farming the amount of zombies to unlock skeletons and stuff was taking around 12 hours because we didn't have 100% full rotation like of spawners and stuff like that, and we don't have public warp stuff like that because everyone's way too progressed. You just can't progress anything as a small team when you're like a solo or 2-man. Like it took me like 3 weeks to get past zombies, and the crops weren't even at that stage either. It might be a skill issue, but you know, it takes a hell of a lot. And I was playing for like 10 hours a day. It just wasn't doing anything.
Yeah, I mean, I will say like out of those 10 hours a day, you can't be expected to like spend those entire 10 hours just farming zombies when I know there's other aspects of the game you're going to be doing during that time as well.
That's what I was doing, and it took me like a week or two to get past it all.
So yeah, so I'd say with the balance changes we'll do this map, I'll make sure to be looking at the IS skill unlock requirements and see if the changes we've already got planned are being made, then what with the IS skill unlock requirements might also need to be tweaked.
Yeah.
Because of course we're making a lot of stuff with like each of these skills individually.
Yeah. Well, the easiest thing you've just got to look at is what is it, 1 million blazes requirement or something. If you look at how fast you can kill them using like the crouch spots and stuff like that, it's going to take you weeks and weeks to do it as a 2 or 3 man.
Like, but there are other aspects to that increase that rate of kill, which might not be available to your islands.
Which are majorly pay to win and stuff like that. I know. But they're locked behind pay to win walls, and we know.
Yeah, we just have to make sure that every factor that's going to be available to anyone on the server is being factored into like the unlock requirements and whatnot. So, but yeah, definitely something that we'll keep an eye on.
Last thing then, if obviously that gets talked about and people start to like the idea, would it be potential to add it into a league system where it's casual and competitive, where casual players cannot compete for IS Top? IS Top does not exist for them. However, the requirements would be on a scaling feature, such as dependent on how many players, but they cannot, no matter what, gain IS trophies ever.
So, of course, we had the league system back in the day on the old Sky. It wasn't a perfect system, but I'd like to see I'd like to see what we can do in that sort of sense to like kind of add a little bit of a split between like competitive and non-competitive islands. But that's not something that for map number 3 is going to be a focus, I'd say.
Okay, yeah.
But going forward, I wouldn't say it's like completely off the books. It would require a lot of balancing to make sure it's tuned right, and we need to make sure there's both communities there. It's not just like the entire server is just not going to play competitively because it's just so much of a better gameplay. There's just a lot of things to go into it, but it's not something I'd say it's completely off the books.
Yeah. Okay, that's everything.
Right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Mr. MGA.
Hello.
Hello.
How you guys doing?
Been busy.
I don't know if anyone asked. I joined kind of late. What changes are trophies getting this year?
What changes are trophies getting? Trophies are the main system of trophies is still being worked on. It's not fully finalized right now, I'd say. But that trophy system, like as soon as that is available to like as soon as we've got an idea of what trophy system is going to be the final system, if we've got that like almost like made, then like I'm definitely going to look to get like feedback on that system as much as I can. But as of right now, I've just not got those like finalized details to give out for trophies.
Okay. Let me
Anything
think. Is that zone getting any change anytime soon?
The loot is going to be looked at before map number 3, but we're looking at the main like starting things of map number 3. Like, because Dead Zone is like that more of a late game sort of thing. We're not going to be doing any like content updates to Dead Zone for map number 3, Start of the World, I'd say. But that doesn't leave it off the books for like not like any sort of like I can't say for sure if we're going to do Dead Zone update during map number 3 or not. Because of course, who knows how like the map is going to play out, but not for Start of the World. There won't be any changes.
Okay.
Yep.
That's all.
Alrighty, thank you.
Bye bye.
Mr. Scootley, you're welcome up.
Hello. All right, I've got a question on you know the old money system there used to be for adventure, where you kill a mob and you get money. It would dynamically change throughout the map, depending on how far through of the inflation. Is there any way like that's going to get implemented with the XP and money?
With the XP money that you currently get from the chest, you're saying?
Yeah, will it dynamically change with inflation? Is there any way to get that system back?
So it can't be the exact same system because, of course, now you're getting those items from the actual loot table themselves. So it's an actual like physical money note that you're getting from that chest. The closest thing I can think of is like with the way we're kind of doing adventure loot this map is it will be like, and I'm not talking about just like the scaling in the past like there was for money notes and XP, but like for like the loot itself, like the loot will like almost like I don't want to say too much to go into those details. Like it'll progressively be getting better and better, which means for the first few increases, there will be like increases in available money notes, but there isn't an easy way to like have those money notes we have in there right now do that sort of scaling thing throughout the entirety of the map like we used to have.
That include like changing like drop rates of items in lower tier adventures once like the diamond tier adventures out. So it gives more of an incentive to go back to get certain things.
Any sort of change like that's like the specific drop rate, whatnot, would have to be like manually done. It's not like something that we can. With the way that the drop tables work, there wouldn't be an easy way to make it so some items become more common in adventures without like manually changing that. So it's something that we're going to be keeping an eye on, just like the adventure loot tables as a whole, because this map we're bringing in like a new adventure like loot table system and just like new items and everything. So we're going to be keeping an eye on it and making like adjustments and changes as needed. But for like actually like scaling like that is just going to be something that we're just going to be noticing and making tweaks on based off the data that we have.
All right, that's sound.
Yep.
And you know that like the polls you do, could you like be a bit more like transparent and do them more often? So like we like the community has more like understanding of what's happening in the background of things, like what you are working on currently, like maybe like a separate like announcement channel with like saying like what you like would people want it to be like our time to be more put into this or this. You get what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Of course, we'll do polls whenever it's like there is a good opportunity to do a poll, such as like what potions should be in the science shop, whatnot, because polls are like a very set answer sort of thing. Like if we do like a poll and say, do you think we should do an update to Dead Zone? Everyone votes yes. Some people vote no. There isn't a lot of like back and forth discussion happening there. That's just like yes or no to like there needs to be like good like reasoning and like purpose to that feedback, I guess, to be able to like get a better idea of the community's thoughts on it instead of just like having a yes or no thing for some updates like that. I think
what I'm trying to get at is more like, let's say you've got like a few updates that you've got in line, like let's say Dead Zone, Farming, Adventure, like there's a poll so people like the player base gets to choose what one of them gets priority, if you know what I mean.
Which one of them gets priority in what sort of sense?
Yeah. So like make a poll. So like these are the dates we have planned. What one would you like to be complete first and see implemented first?
I mean, I think if we ever had a situation where there were multiple different options and we would be in a position where the community can choose, then we would do something like that. But most of the time, like when we plan new content or new updates or adjusted content, it's usually in line with the timetable that we've got planned. So it wouldn't be something that we would pull because we've already got it lined up of when we would want it to come out based on how we're doing it. So
Okay. Yeah.
if there was ever a situation where, yeah, we've got 3 things we're looking to potentially do new content wise, and we're not sure what we want to come out with first, then yeah, we could probably pull that and see what the community would prefer, but only in those situations. Otherwise, we typically have a plan and a reason why we're releasing it the way that we do. So
Yeah, okay, that's sound. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Alrighty, next up, Mr. Radio. Hello, hello. Let's see. There you go.
Yo, alright, I have 2 little questions. That's it.
Okay.
First one is for the leak that got added with the adventure mob.
Mhm.
I know you kind of made fun of me a little bit with that. I'll put that aside. That's all good. But I'm red-green colorblind and I can't see it. And so with the highlights, it's kind of hard to see the difference.
You'll be able to see in the name of the mob, like what
Yeah. Well, I
Like,
already have a
sort
guess
of
as to what it is.
differentiation
But,
towards there, but yeah.
I mean, yeah. But genetic issue? Come on, man. All right, whatever. But that was mostly just a comment. And the second one is there an anti-cheat right now?
I mean, we do have
I don't know if
Shiva.
you can say that, but
Like,
because I've go.
we do have Shiva. I've seen the post about like concerns on Shiva's effectiveness, and whatnot. I don't want to go into too many details on it, but I have like forwarded it to see like if we were able to have it looked into more or like tweaked at all before map number 3.
Okay.
But that's about all I can say on the topic of anti-cheat, I'd say.
Yeah, I got it. But anyways, thank you. You're a W mans, and Tater, you one sexy motherfucker. All right, thank you.
Watch the language, please. Yep. Have a good one.
Other fricker.
Okay. Next up, Mr. Boxspring.
Yo, what's it called? Just to touch back on the progression of islands, I was just curious if it's a potential possibility for you guys to be able to, like, in a sense, set a scale. So, say on the island, it hypothetically had 5 people invited. So for blazes, it would say hypothetically you only need 5,000 blazes killed to get to the next level. But say for someone that has 20 people on the island, it would be 20,000 blazes for them to unlock it, due to the fact that they have so many more people on, and they'd be able to get it done quicker in a sense. So at the same time, it almost leaves it same and level throughout everybody, no matter how many people you have on the island or not. If you get what I'm saying. But you could also set it up to where you can even touch back on the rotating situation, where people have 70 people in one single island. Well, if you have it, say, at cap 25 people per island, no matter what, if you got up to that 25 people mark, that mastery would stay the same. Whether you kick everybody and you're at 15, you still have to do 25 people worth of work. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
So, like, you wouldn't have to. The rotating factor would be more implemented for people and keep people more, I guess, active for that situation alone. It was just something I could ask.
So someone did ask something similar to this earlier in terms of like having like the non-competitive sort of like Island League almost, and like I said earlier, like Island Leagues in the past, I believe they did this sort of thing where like it lowered their amount of requirements for specific IS skills based off of which league you were in. But again, like the main thing that we're focusing on for map number 3 is just like the overall balance of adventures. The overall balance of islands. I mean, islands and adventures, yes, are both being balanced, but the main thing about islands is the overall balance of like the IS skills. We're going to be a lot more intentional with those, and just like the whole IS level system and a potential level cap system. We're going to tweak that and get that all right, and then I definitely want to see in a future map like how we can sort of do something like that to add like that sort of like line between a competitive and a non-competitive player. Whatnot. I'd love to do something like that for future maps, but just for map number 3 here, we're mainly focusing on the overall balance of islands and making sure that is in as good of a state as it can be before we can go and make a sort of change like that, which would need to have a lot of thought brought into it, because of course like we can do as much as we can to prevent players from just exploiting the system and trying to just like make a ton of alt islands or get a competitive advantage, whatnot. We can try to do our best to prevent that, but at the end of the day, players are going to be players and find things and work the system unintentionally. So.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, you guys are on map 3, so there's a lot of kinks that have to be worked out. So 100%. But yeah, I just thought I'd bring that up as a suggestion for the people that are worried about not having the even competitivity between islands and not being able to compete.
Yep, I understand. And in terms of like not being able to compete, like that also kind of falls into the trophy system, which will be being addressed for map number 3.
Yeah, I get you.
But
No,
yeah.
that's all I have, man. So I appreciate you letting me talk.
Alrighty, have a good one.
You too.
Alrighty, Mr. MGA again.
Hello again.
Hello, hello.
I just wanted to ask if I think David is gonna hate me for this, but is melons and pumpkins getting nerfed next season? They are making way too much XP.
Ooh, I mean, yes,
people were making like billions XP per day just from grinding pumpkins.
So all of the skills and the level, like all of the island levels are being changed to make like the unlock feel like the scheme of unlocking levels, whatnot, is going to make it so you can't progress too quickly. All of the like skills, whatnot, as well, are also being changed. Like every skills IS like island EXP values and how much EXP you get for those specific actions are being tweaked, which would include melons and pumpkins to answer your question. Yes, in terms of them being super OP, I think there's a few different reasons that go into why they were so OP. One of the things is I think who is calling me? Let me just deny that real quick. No, I don't know how to deny on iPhone. Actually, I'm just gonna toss that over there. So yes, so melons and pumpkins, I think one of the main factors that went into those being as OP as they were is with the new farming enchants we released this season. Something I kind of noticed a bit early on is some enchants I believe were stacking this map when that wasn't the original intention. So that's going to be something that I am going to be looking into balance testing and then seeing if that's a change that we want to making those enchants not stacked so that farming is a little bit more not quite as easy as it was this map, I'd say, for some things, especially like those later tier crops. Like it should take you a little bit longer to farm those sorts of crops. And another aspect of melons and pumpkins specifically, and just like all island skills, especially seeds, is those are being tweaked in terms of the drop chances in adventures. So you're going to be seeing, I don't want to say you're going to be seeing a lot less seeds than you would this map, but the seeds are going to be a lot more exclusive in some situations, especially for like the highest tier seed in an adventure is not going to be dropped anywhere near as common as like the lowest tier, the first seed of an adventure. So just changes to drop rates, changes to EXP, and then changes to just like island levels overall should ideally address the issue of players being able to get so much just for melons and pumpkins this map, if you kind of get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, the custom recipes levels, are they gonna get changed at all? Like the progression thing?
Do you think they should be changed?
I mean, getting 500 recipes of one kind is close to impossible. It should be somewhat possible if we like try, but getting 500 is not possible. Let's be honest.
I mean, it kind of depends on the loot table the recipe is being pulled from, but the recipe levels and the requirements is something that I'd like to look at. I don't know for sure if we're going to change it or not, but it's definitely something that I think I would like to look at. But yeah, custom recipes, like with the changing of IS skills as well, custom recipes are being addressed with that in terms of like their sell price and everything. So the whole custom recipe leveling system, I think I would like to take another pass at it before map number 3 and just see what sort of balancing we can do in terms of how many recipes are needed for the max level and everything.
Yeah, I mean, last season, I think the most people had was like 150 or something, and it was the recipe that was in Woodbox, not the one that people got from Adventures. So like only reason that there was so many of them is because they were in the Woodbox. So it was way too common, and it was selling for cheap on AH, and people still got only like 150, 200 of them at most.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
and then
that's
I guess real quick back on the for the whole seeds thing, just to kind of explain like the adventure, the way the loot is going to be working in adventures going like for map number 3 as well. It's essentially different tiers of loot are going to unlock on a different daily basis. So what that means, if I can just pull up my spreadsheet here to give you a good example. Level cap system. So day 1 of the first adventure, Abandoned Ruins, every chest in Abandoned Ruins, in every aspect of getting adventure loot, is going to be limited to normal and elite loot. Day 2, legendary loot unlocks. Day 3, godly loot unlocks, etc. So on top of island levels being potentially split into a level cap, on top of island levels being split into a level cap, the adventure unlocks are also going to be split into a level cap, which means you're not going to be able to get mythic loot day 1 of the first adventure, which means that mythic loot and heroic loot as well are being tweaked to have more of a like relevancy towards their tier of loot. So if you want to get carrots for your island, those would unlock around the same time as mythic loot would in the adventure, and carrots would drop exclusively from the heroic and mythic loot tables.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that?
I mean, it should be like that. It should be better loot should be harder to obtain, not get it from the same stuff like you did before. You were just grinding normally and you were getting carrots and stuff. They should be way more harder to get.
Yep, so they will be harder to get in that sort of sense of like they'll be in like more exclusive tiers of loot, and they'll only unlock closer to when you'll be able to start placing them on your island as well.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Thank you. I'll bring up the next person, but if anyone has any questions on sort of adventure loot system, feel free to raise your hand. And yeah, MJ literally raised his hand as soon as I kick him off the stage. Nice. Alrighty, CC.
Right, so it's just about the adventure stuff that you were just saying. I did have a different question, but it's swapped to that. I think it's more important. Personally, and a lot of people were just saying it in the chat as well, is Adventure 1 level cap does not make sense. Sure, for Adventure 2 and Adventure 3 it should be level capped, but with the first I think it should all be unlocked, and if you do want a level cap, then just make heroic loot unable to be gained on day 1. Because I think Adventure 1 is just kind of, people don't farm it for carrots. Sure, you're going to make money early, but the moment second comes out, that's where you're going to be farming the crops. You sell most of your carrots. The only thing you're going to keep it for is your trophies, but obviously that system's getting changed. You know, people...
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You say that it's not worth it in Adventure 1, but correct me if I'm wrong, progression last map was crap from the get-go. Yeah.
It wasn't. The progression was really bad when it got to Adventure 2. I personally enjoyed Adventure 1 progression.
And how quick were people in Adventure 2?
What was it, 6 days or something? And most of it was unlocked from a loot box that got released.
It's 3 days.
3 days, but most of the adventure maps got pulled from that loot box. We saw it all in chat. People were just unlocking it within 30 minutes after.
And I understand the progression wasn't helped by pay to win, but my point that I'm asking you is, you say that there's no reason to do there's no reason to do level caps or limiting.
Not for Adventure 1.
Adventure 1, but I would highly disagree with you because there's still a progression in those early stages. So
yeah, but the only progression that really matters in Adventure 1, and most top teams will agree with this, is getting your adventure map and getting your second adventure. The crops don't mean anything. Killing the bosses don't really mean anything unless you're a chain-related like alliance. Like nobody grinds it for the loot in that. Sure, you might farm it for some glow torches early on and stuff like that, but you're not going to sit in there to make progression.
Well, another thing you have to consider as well is the whole aspect of island progression as well is changing. When we say we're going to be more intentional with skills, what that means, if you want to earn island EXP to level up your island, 99% of the island EXP you're going to be earning to get to the next level is going to be from farming. Slayer, mining, and fishing, they might give very small, very, very small amounts of island EXP just so they're not completely like not contributing at all, but farming is going to be your 99% way to gain EXP towards your next level. So if you want to be able to hit these higher levels, especially the early like Iron Adventure we don't have it slated to unlock for until day 7, essentially. So for those first 7 days, almost you're gonna need to have as much of the most, as many of the highest tier available at that time seeds as possible, in order to make sure that you're able to hit the level cap for that day. And
Surely that's just going to create an even bigger gap between the 40 and 50 months and the 10 months, because they're just going to flood the market with money and buy everyone's seats for way too much.
flood the market with money.
In
So
terms
for
of
that- For that, money is going to be the main primary way to get money on islands is going to be through fishing, and we're going to be implementing island-wide limits to fishing as well. So there should be. I don't want to say there's going to be a super hard cap on how much money can be added each day from fishing, but it's not going to be something where you can just get super huge infinite money, especially from farming as well. The amount of money that each crop sells for is going to be super heavily reduced, and instead of getting 8 items from one break, you're going to be getting 1 item from each break, because farming is not the island skill that you'll use to get money. That's going to be fishing.
And I've got one last thing, which I heard from a staff member, but is it true that all adventures are going to be full lawful with KO mids?
I mean, what staff member, first of all?
Well, one of them was, I think it was Rob was joking around in a suggestion, but it sounded a bit too serious to be a joke. And then another one, I asked the moderator in their message saying, well, I've heard some things, but I'm not too sure if it's true or not.
Well, hopefully they aren't specifically saying specific things.
They didn't say
but-
specific things, don't worry about it. I've just heard a few people talking about the full
Yes.
lawful with KO mids.
So your question was if every adventure is going to be full lawful with KO mids.
Yeah,
Would you
or anything similar to that extent where it isn't forced PvP in the first 3 adventures?
Would you like it to be like that?
Personally, I think that as long as the loot is scalable with an incentive for mid, but not absolutely controlled to the point of what it was this map, in map 2, I would like that, yeah.
What about our Q&A chat? Would you guys like that? Yes,
There you
yes,
go.
yes, 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 yes. Well, it seems like we should make it full lawful with a KO center then, right?
I believe it's already been kind of planned for a test, right?
I mean, we'll see on Monday, but yeah, I'd say expect that. Yes.
Okay. I think everyone's a bit happy with that.
Yeah.
And the test on Monday confirmed as well. 2 leaks in 1 day, boys. We did it.
That's your
All right.
maximum limit. No more leaks.
Yep, thank you. That's all.
Yeah, I already have it given. So yes, so the current plan right now is for this upcoming Monday for us to push to the live server to open up for a public test beta, the first round of adventure changes. So this is going to include the sort of system you saw in that leak yesterday that I posted. It's going to include this new lawful alignment system. And it's going to include all the new loot tables. I'd say the first iteration of these loot tables. So we're going to be interesting to see what sort of feedback that is when you guys are able to get your hands on that. But
yeah, and I just want to add to that, since he mentioned it, with the loot tables, it's going to be night and day compared to the maps before. So I want to make that super clear. There's a reason behind it, but at the same time, I am absolutely open to everything that needs to be said around it. So if you guys are testing the new systems and feeling how the loot feels, obviously take it into consideration of how it's going to be with a lot more players doing it. But I do want to hear the criticism from the loot tables. I want to hear your specific thoughts, your group's thoughts. Doesn't necessarily mean that things are going to change, but they'll definitely be taken into consideration because, like I said, this is a completely different setup. So definitely feel free to make threads, poke me in them, let me know what you guys think. I plan on having conversations with you guys around it as well, but I just want to make that super clear. Like, don't hesitate to speak your opinions on the loot tables early, so that if there are changes that we feel need to be made, they can be made prior to the next map actually beginning. So
Yeah, we'll probably see about doing either some sort of like shorter term Q&A, like a little bit after that public test beta does launch, so we can get some like on the spot, okay, we're playing it now, this is our feedback sort of thing. But then as well, just like making sure that any sort of suggestion you have is posted as a suggestion thread, whatnot, so that we can get that sort of documented down so it doesn't just get lost in like words. And then hopefully we can just refine everything to be as good as it can. But yeah, I will bring up the next person to speak, Mr. Boxspring. Welcome up.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna lie. It's not like super important. It's mainly just because I'm a degenerate gambler. But is there any way we could like add a wheel in spawn, just like Rust? You know, with a 10x and a 5x, a 1x and a 2x, so I can put some coins on there.
Well, you see, the thing about Minecraft is it's made out of blocks. There are no spheres or cylinders to make a wheel.
Hey,
So that's not going to be possible.
For like a light to pop up or something. I don't know. It just sounded pretty sweet to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, I guess to simplify your question, no, we're not looking at adding any like new gambling aspect for map number 3. At least not for the start of it.
No, I get you.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. Alrighty. Yeah, have a good one, Mr. GCam.
Oh, God bless. I love you guys. Few questions. Is the loot table in that, is that going to be constantly changing and scaling with the player count? Like, let's say start of the map's like a couple, like 1,000, 1,500, and then towards mid map it ends up being like 300 again. Is it going to be impossible to get certain loot like it was previously because of that, or certain amounts of loot?
So, I don't know, Tater, if you want to take that or.
yeah, I mean, I can
Scaling.
take it. So the loot tables themselves aren't going to be like scaling based on player count. The way that the loot tables are going to be created, they're going to be created and designed based on obviously the amount of items that are being pulled from each tier, but at the same token, like, we're going to be keeping a close eye on it. As far as like me specifically, we've got the graphs, we've got the information. I'm going to be looking at the items being dropped, how many items are being pulled on a daily basis. I'm really going to be paying close attention to it, not just at the beginning, but also in the stages of each adventure unlocking, and trying to make sure that it's balanced accordingly, not based on necessarily how many players, but based on how many items are being pulled from it. So even if, for example, let's say you've got 1,500 players on day 1 grinding the adventures, but then on day 8 there's only 500 grinding. The data is going to give us accurate information as far as how the items being pulled are, so that we can make sure that the weights are appropriate and the items being dropped are still appropriate, no matter how many players there is, just based on how many items are being pulled. But
Is
if
that
we
per adventure? Is
Yeah.
it separate for each adventure?
Well, each adventure has their own loot tables.
Yeah. Okay then.
And the data that's based on each adventure is separate. Like, we have, for example, normal items that are pulled in adventure 1. Those numbers are different than normal items that are pulled on a daily basis in adventure 2 or adventure 3. So we've got the information that we need, and then again, like, even with the changes that we're making, we're going to be paying attention to it on a daily basis, making real-time changes if we need to the tables, to the spreadsheets. So yeah, is it going to be something that fluctuates like you're saying? No, it's not going to be something that just gradually fluctuates or changes. But if it is something that we feel does need to be changed because we're not seeing the output that we expected, or we're not seeing the output that we thought, then we will make real-time changes to the loot tables to make sure that certain items are being pulled in accordance to how many people are grinding. So,
all right. Next question is about content. is there planning to be any additional content, or is it just going to be changes to the current stuff there is? Like, is there only just adventure and then the, what was it, 4 island skills there are? Or is there anything being added to that?
So I know last map we added all the new farming crops and fishing crops. This map we've got a lot of new content coming to adventures in terms of maybe not like we have these new mobs which are going to be considered new content, and then like different play styles in adventures due to like the certain like lawful changes we are making. But that's like the main sort of like new content we've got on the board for right now. I mean, I can just double check, make sure I'm not having a brain fart. Yeah, other than like tweaks to the content that we already have, we are looking at potentially adding in some new custom enchants for some island skills, for some adventure related enchants. Duel, very good note. Mini games, yes, those are going to be on the way. And yeah, other than that, what other new content would you like almost like be expecting / wanting other than what I've just mentioned?
I guess like mini games seems like really
There you go.
good. The only other thing I can think would be like kind of like how you have Koth, but instead of a full PvP, a full PvE one where it's like like a boss version. This was just an idea I threw out before, but like I just think like imagine having like a couple hundred people on the server to fight one massive boss each week, and any living player gets rewarded out for it or something like that.
Kind of sounds similar to the bosses they had on a certain Minecraft server involving mining, if you know what I mean. But interesting, yeah. It's like a Koth that's PvE. I definitely want to see about adding like more sort of like PvP competitive sort of areas on top of like PvE sort of stuff is always fun. It's always like a nice thing to go off and do on the side. Yeah,
I think
I'd
PvP
say
is great. Just making sure that smaller groups that can't compete in PvP can still have a chance to enjoy the server. Because if they
Yeah.
get thrown out day 3, day 4, then it's just going to be big groups again.
yeah, I definitely don't want to cater to only one specific team. I want to make sure that both teams of competitive, non-competitive, PvPers, PvEers, we've got updates in store, and we're like keeping both communities almost in mind when we're making updates and whatnot. So, but yeah, all right.
And my last question is about
Okay.
any new maps, or is it just map changes?
New maps in terms of like adventure maps, you're saying?
Yeah, adventure
Or
maps.
no, same adventure maps as last map. There's going to be little bits of tweaks here and there to fit in with some of our new systems, I'd say, but same maps.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Have a good one. Mr. How are you at the top again? MGA. Come on back up. Okay. Hello.
Hello again. I just wanted to ask one question I forgot to ask you last time. How do you get Cosmonaut Row on?
In the Discord, you just be active and follow the rules, and if we take note of that, then you have a chance to get Cosmonaut.
Okay. And I wanted to ask one more thing about the mini game.
Okay.
What mini games can we expect? Is there any ready, or are they still in work?
They're still a work in progress. Right now, the two that we've got in mind that we're planning on releasing is Battle Royale and Skywars. When I say Battle Royale, just the base version of it, not any like the special game modes or Elite BR or God mode, just the normal base BR.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that Bed Wars might not come in the future, but just for Start of the World, bringing back Battle Royale and Skywars, but yeah.
Okay, I kind of forgot this. You reminded me. I asked every Q&A. When can we expect prisons?
When you get banned.
No.
There's a little unbanned
Never.
prison there. Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
It's a classic. Alrighty, Mr. Curtis.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, hello.
I'm in the gym right now. Okay, so
Yeah.
my question is, are the rules going to be the same? Because like last map, all of the top teams were cheating, and they got their alts got banned, but then the islands never got fucking progress back, and it's like really, there's no point in playing if the top teams are just gonna cheat on alts, and then you ban their alts, and you guys don't do anything with their actual like owners and shit of the island.
So I'm pretty sure I know like the sort of which situation you're talking about. I'd like to first of all try to see. Yeah, I'd like to see what sort of like Shiva anti-cheat changes we can make to sort of combat that specific sort of stuff. Like first of all, but other than that, like nothing's gonna be changed like with like the written rules and whatnot. But like the way they're enforced, like I would like to make sure that if there is a case where we can.
I know it's like the moral of like the server and the players, but it's just like I'm not gonna hard drop the name, but they were IS top 1.
If there is a case where there's like, it's really going to depend on the situation. I'd say I'm not going to like speak on the like situation that had happened in map number 2, but going forward in map number 3, like we just take every situation as it comes, and if it needs to be dealt with a certain way, it'll be dealt with a certain way, and yeah, that's the best thing I can say for you right now. But if they're cheating, then the accounts that are banned are going to be cheating. If anything further needs to be done, then I'm going to make it more of like a staff decision almost within like the higher ranking, like junior admins plus, to see like, what sort of decisions should be made on an island that has like a situation like that happen with them.
Well, like the problem is like I know the exact situation you're talking about. You know the exact situation you're talking about. They all got banned for it, and nothing was. They just kept doing it. In fact, like all of the top players last map were running a macro alt. And
which is why I'd like to see about getting tweaks done to Shiva, but yeah.
Yeah, let's just IP ban them, I reckon. Oh, and then second thing, I feel like I want more like content, like on Cosmic PvP, you guys had like rank quests and like stuff that you like when you paid to win, you actually had to like work for your shit. Like now you guys just like spoon fed them, and it just like that would just drive so much more like PvP and more like quality content because it's not like forced and it's like you actually have to do it.
So like complete like a little quest to get your rank. If you don't complete it, then you don't get your rank.
Or maybe not like that, but like spawnable bosses, like shit like that I could like pull an item and be like, oh shit, let me get all my boys on to hop on and do this. You know what I mean?
I don't think like pertaining that to like specific like player ranks is like necessarily the best route to go. I know that is something they used to do in PvP back in the day, but Cosmic Sky isn't really that much.
It's more of just an example of I want more like of like the items you actually have to like risk. There has to be some like risk factor to stuff. There needs to be like some. It'll create like actual drama on the server, and it'll actually create like player-driven stories, not like your guys' like stories where we're just like farming and it's like boop a doop a doop. Let's farm. I want to fucking kill people.
Okay. Well,
I want it to be worth to kill people.
There's not a lot of people who share that kind of same mindset in terms of like just like only playing the server mainly to like PvP whatnot. Maybe not. Maybe I'm misunderstanding. Like, there's not a lot of people who like strictly like set out to PvP. There's a lot of people who just want to chill, play on their island, go grind adventures. There's definitely two different like communities there. But what best thing I can say for you is like if you've got like a specific thing such as like a rank quest where you have to like do something in the adventure, like if you want to make a suggestion post on that to like get it a bit more in writing, I'd encourage that. But because that's another thing as well, like getting feedback from other members of the community on stuff like that is like very vital.
Yeah, I agree, but it was just like more of an example of I just liked having more content in like the PvP world. And the thing is, like, I'm never going to be able to compete with these like stoner types They're just smoking weed and freaking farming. Which
Yeah. So like, yep. Like I said, like I think I said like 2 questions ago. Like I definitely want to make sure that we have that balance there between those 2 communities of competitive and non-competitive, and PvPing and not PvPing players. So,
like
yeah,
balance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Well, that was just my main point. Was just like we gotta figure out a system where it's just like I'm just gonna boot up the macros next map and win. And you're
Gotcha.
gonna keep them like. Okay, that's it.
Alrighty.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Next up, Mr. Mango.
Yo.
Hello.
All right. For my first question, are you guys like doing anything about the people at ESP to see like godly and heroic loot or whatever? Because it's an ender chest, right?
Yep. For this map, I did add a bunch of like fake ender chests to the bottom of each of the adventure maps. So if you're doing that, have fun having a bunch of different lines on your screen now. But at the end of the day, like the only way to prove that and to enforce that would be to like screen share anyone who was suspected of doing that, which there's no easy way to suspect it because everyone's just playing adventures at that point. Like it's with how subtle you can be with that, like since it's just a front end thing.
Yeah, I got that.
Yeah.
They're just all running around, basically.
Yeah.
Also, another question, because like I'm a PvP player and I love like Trials and Dungeons. Do you guys have like any? You guys adding any of those at one point or something similar?
Yeah. I hate to sound like a broken record, but like as soon as like we like after we've gotten like the main core gameplay in a good state, I definitely want to like look into like having those sorts of bigger updates and like more content such as dungeons or trials or whatever sort of new cosmic spin we can do on something like that. But for right now, like if we released like say map number 3 released, everything's exactly the same as map number 2, but hey guys, now there's dungeons. That just there's just still those core problems that haven't been addressed, and that's what we're mainly focusing on right now, I'd say.
Yeah, okay, so there's hope.
Hopefully, yes, eventually. I'd love to do something like that, but it's really just going to play down to
Getting
like,
everything fixed, right?
getting everything into a much more balanced and better state, which I've got really high hopes for everything we've put together for this map.
Okay, well, that's all I got. Thank you.
Alrighty. Got Mr. Ollie. Hello.
Hello. So, I've got a question about like the rules side, whether anything's going to be changing within that in terms of server rules and stuff.
Is there something you're specifically wanting or thinking should be changed, or?
I mean, for the macro side, I think having like permission to use macros under like quality of life features, so like sell hand and sell all or whatever.
The thing about macros, those have never been a thing that's really been allowed on Cosmic. I mean, we did kind of go out of our like range and allow players to use like the rebinding the attack key to space early on in Cosmic and this iteration of Sky. So I wouldn't say it's completely off the table. It's something I think getting a lot more like player feedback on like if those sorts of things should be allowed would be like definitely something to see the feedback on if you want to make a suggestion post on that. It's just I know the main issue for me is like when it comes to like a /fix macro or a /heal macro, being able to do that just right in the middle of a PvP fight just ruins the competitiveness of it and makes it less fun and take longer, I guess. Because like if you can just /heal and not have to like pause, type /heal or press up arrow, like just being able to press a button while you're running, have no interruption at all, that just it ruins the flow of the sort of PvP fights and like the naturalness of it. So
yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so I'd like to see if you could post a suggestion post on that, see what others' thoughts are on that.
Sorry?
If you want to post a suggestion post on that, see if we can't get some more community thoughts on that, just like the possibility of like allowing certain macros, which I guess if we allow one, we have to allow them all technically, but yeah.
No, yeah, I get where you're coming from, but I mean, obviously having that quality of life features, like especially when like farming last map, it came in where obviously you were getting 8 per and your inventory will fill it up within a second.
Yep. Well,
And
definitely
that-
this map.
Yeah.
This
And
map-
another thing, is realms changing at all, or are they sort of staying the same?
You can expect changes to the realm shops in terms of just like minor tweaks here and there, such as no more resource nodes or seeds being purchasable from realms. But as for like the actual realm gameplay, that's not being tweaked for this map.
Right, okay.
Alrighty, thank you.
Right, cheers.
Alrighty, we have reached an hour in. So if you guys have got any additional questions, make sure you guys raise your hands. I'll be closing the request to speak shortly here. But we'll go through. Mr. Linkers, you want to hop up?
My question is about the farming still. You said something about farming not being the main source of money, and when breaking crops, instead of 8, we will get 1, something like that.
Yes.
How do you gonna adjust the recipes to that?
Yes, all the custom recipes are going to be adjusted for. I mean, it might not be like some recipes are going to have the same like ingredient costs. Like if it costs 8x carrots right now, it might still cost 8x carrots in map number 3. But all the sell prices,
I'm more about, like, to be honest, I think many people will agree that one of the main ingredients would be, like, for example, mash soup, 40-40 of each. Like,
I could pull that up. Custom recipes for mash soup.
yeah, like
Yeah, I do have it. Yeah, for ones like that require like a lot of farming items, especially like of course potatoes and mashed soup, 40 of them each. Like those ones are being tweaked to have different like different ingredient costs, but then also like the sell prices for each of these custom recipes are also being adjusted, not just for like their new base item sell prices, but we're also essentially just like going to be rebalancing the recipes to be more valuable based off of how valuable the recipe is. So there's like different factors that'll go into determining the final sell price, such as how much fuel you have to put in, how much time you have to spend, what sort of adventure the recipe comes from. So there should be more of a scaling factor and like a definitely a lot more of a balance for custom recipes.
But because also about those levels of the recipes, like somebody said that the maximum that someone had, like for example, Blowtorches was around 200. Someone said, and the limit is 500. Like maybe we should tweak that so the higher end recipes also require less to upgrade, because there's no way in hell you're gonna get, like for example, 200 Nether Torment. Like that's impossible. Like not with the length of the map.
Yeah, I mean, Nether Torment is definitely a good example there. I'd say we have to see what like these new adventure loot tables. Like we of course have a plan on exactly how many recipes we're planning on dropping on a daily basis, but aside from that, I did mention earlier like the whole like scaling of recipes and how many recipes it requires to unlock different recipes or the different levels of recipes. That's definitely something I'm going to be looking into and having another pass on, because right now it's not like confirmed to be like reduced whatnot, but it's definitely something that I'll like bring up with the team whatnot and see what the consensus is, what we kind of want to do for
Subject to change.
Yes, that's a good phrase. Yes.
Yeah, I took it from Rust's video.
Gotcha.
And one more question. Like, I saw one issue in this map: the rate drop of the bots.
Yes,
And
so
I think people will agree that they had like full vaults of bots at some point. Like, I think you should tweak and lower the amount of bots dropping. Maybe leave the crafting bot, because that's like a big step one that people just need. But all of the other ones should get nerfed. Like if you want to have automation, you need to feel like you earned it. Like not like 200k at the end of the map for a crafting boss. That feels ridiculous when you compare it to the map 1, where the prices were way higher.
Yeah, I mean, you've also got a limited amount of Autobots you can place on an island. So once you hit that max, Autocrafters essentially become worthless for you. There's less of a market for it, so that it just results in lower prices overall. So I think there's two things here. Their drop chance in the loot tables, which is something that, of course, every adventure loot table is being entirely redone for map number 3, and the drop rate of Autobots is something that's included with that. So seeing how the drop rates feel with like these current loot tables we're going to be releasing, they're going to be play testable on Monday. Seeing how those feel, as well as potentially seeing what we want to do in terms of like the Autobot limits. I think we're cooking on some Autobot stuff. So
Yeah, like I said, the biggest one that should have the biggest chance would be the crafter, because that's the biggest gap between like a big jump for the progression. And if you don't get it fast enough compared to other people, you're like really behind. Like having like less miners, farmers, or I mean harvesters or other type, that's not a big issue. But crafter is a big one.
I understand it.
Yeah, and also maybe tweak the prices in the shop or something. Like you can buy a bot there, but the prices are ridiculous.
Yeah, I've already got a note for this map to look into the automation shop. I mean,
Yeah, even
yeah.
I think even the one for like simple stuff like teleportation paths, other stuff like 50 mil, 500 mil, like
Yeah,
who
I
made
get
those
you.
prices?
Yep. I mean, the automation shop is from the old Sky. I don't really think it has too much of a place right now in this iteration of Sky, but it's definitely going to be looked at for map number 3. But yeah,
And the last thing I want just to say about the
another one.
cheating stuff, maybe take like a volunteer guy who just gonna sit on adventures and check. I don't know, because like there's too many people using something. Like
Yeah, it's not entirely adventures, but yeah, like I said, I'm going to be poking again to see what the status is on the anti-cheat, and then
I think that we can say that anti-cheat doesn't work. I personally saw people showing me on Discord how they are making stuff for for this.
Did you not report those guys?
I'm not gonna say names. I'm
Okay,
not
well,
gonna say. I don't use anything, and I'm not gonna snitch. But
we'll leave it at that then.
He made it too easy to do it.
Okay, well, we will leave it at that then. Thank you very much. Alrighty, requests are now closed. Go ahead and bring up the next up, Mr. Dot Stoops.
What like new content / like features can we be like expecting in adventure?
In adventures, I'm sure you saw the leak yesterday. Am I right?
Yes.
Yep. So you're gonna have some new targets, I guess, in adventures. I guess I'll go into a bit more details. So these mobs, there's gonna be a different mob for each tier of loot. So it's gonna be like normal mobs, elite marauders, normal marauders, up all the way to mythic marauders, and then one new tier, which is that green mob that you saw. And you're going to be able to kill these mobs to progress towards getting a normal chest, a elite chest, a legendary chest. And then you can progress any of these loot tiers at like any individual time, and these marauders spawn all across the map. You'll only be able to kill, kind of like how I mentioned earlier, how like the adventure loot is going to be like on a level cap based system. So if it's day 1, you'll only be able to kill normal and elite marauders, but all the other tiers of marauders will still spawn on that map. So you have to keep an eye out for those, like the white and blue highlighted ones. So that's going to add a new aspect to adventures, give you that kind of option to get that guaranteed loot for killing these mobs, on top of being able to loot chests like you would normally previously be able to, where you go to the chests around the map, you kill the mobs protecting it, and you get the item in the chest. So we're going to have that for you. We're going to have a solution for inventory management in adventures, because of course we know your inventories fill up. We're still working on that aspect of it, and then making adventures just more accessible for players by making them all completely lawful except for a chaotic center. So players are going to be able to spend more time in adventures, grind their heart's extent in adventures, and grind these new Marauder mobs for guaranteed high tier loot and even higher tier loot. Yes?
Okay.
Okay.
That was like, that's all.
Alrighty then. Thank you. Alrighty, next up, Mr. Polar.
All right, what's going on, guys? I got a question. So, will there ever be a rank above top rank, like president rank?
Not gonna say no, but not in the near future, I'd say. Like
Okay.
that's not something that's on our minds at all right now.
I got you.
Do you think there should be?
Yeah, yeah.
What sort of perks would their rank have then?
/ jet and adventure.
Just okay. I actually thought about that. I mentioned I think to Duel or someone when doing some testing, but
it's actually
like
gonna be sick.
Prison's worlds were 1,000, almost 2,000 by 2,000. Adventures are like barely 1,000 by 1,000, so that would be a lot harder to.
You can make it so like if you hit island level 100 or something, you get / fly and adventure or something.
Okay. I'll say to that, who knows what the future holds, but definitely no.
I got you. And I got another like suggestion, kind of. If you guys do end up making Kaza PvP, Prisons, and Sky, can you guys all keep it on one server? Is that going to be like possible so that you could go into a hub and then you could either choose PvP, Sky, or Prisons rather than it being on 3 IPs? Because one of my friends that played Prisons with me didn't even know that there was Sky or PvP.
Yeah. So of course the whole question of like PvP Prisons, that's not something I'm like able to like. That's not something I have any information on. But in my mind, I would love if something like that would be able to, like, if that ever, like in the future, if that did happen, then having like the one hub server. I think a lot of other servers do it, and it's like a great way to like advertise both servers. But there's also like, I guess, drawbacks that come to that. So I'd say definitely interesting, but it depends on a lot of stuff. And it depends on if anything happens, of course, in the first place. But
is there also going to be a way so like for example, if a new player joins the server, they won't know like what adventure even is, and it'll take some time for them to even like learn to do like / adventure. And since adventure is a big part of the game, is there going to be any way for there to be like a tutorial on all like the important commands like / adventure, / island, stuff like that for like these new players that come in?
yeah, we have a tutorial. We implemented a better version. Of course, the tutorial on map number 1 was just scuffs, just to stay it outright. But for map number 2, we really like condensed the tutorial and made it like cover some very intentional aspects. I think this tutorial has players go into scavenger, so I don't think it necessarily makes them go into adventure, but it definitely like it makes them go into scavenger and like teaches them these sorts of basics. And looking at the stats of this map for like how many players have actually completed this tutorial, we see a lot more full completions compared to last map, how we saw a lot of players getting to a certain step and then never completing the rest of the tutorial.
Wow. Okay.
So there's definitely been an improvement this map. I think the tutorial system always can be expanded on to make sure that we're as inclusive as we can be for new players who don't know the gameplay.
Yeah.
But as of right now, I think the current tutorial system, I'd say it probably is going to need to be tweaked a little bit for the updates that we're doing for this next map. But other than that, it's still a working system, yeah.
And also about like AP chests. Currently the most upvoted suggestion is about AP chests. Will there be any like future changes about that, or will we keep the same adventure chest system?
So you heard me earlier when I was talking about these, like the Marauder thing, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So our solution to AP is not to just re-enable AP and just bring it back exactly as it used to be. These Adventure Marauders are essentially our take on AP, redesigned into this new system to not release just like the same old stuff we used to have, because that always ends badly in terms of like legacy planets and whatnot, and bringing back those old sorts of updates. So we added a new spin to it. And
So is it gonna be like
Yeah.
Slayer on Hypixel, where if you kill a certain amount of mobs, you spawn a boss or something?
No, you won't spawn a boss. If you kill, for example, 4 normal marauders, you will spawn a legend. Or you kill 4 normal marauders, and you'll spawn a normal chest, which has 5 normal items in it. So at the same time, yeah. So you're
Bless you.
grinding in adventures. You come across a pack of mythic marauders. If you have unlocked a mythic marauder key to be able to kill these mythic marauders, you can kill them and increase your count of mythic marauders killed from 0 to 15, for example. And then once you hit 100, you get a guaranteed chest, which has 2 guaranteed mythic items in them. And the nice thing about these is, unlike AP, how your progress reset every time you left adventures, this marauder progress will stick with you through deaths and through leaving the adventure. So you can constantly work towards getting heroic items, getting mythic items, when they're unlocked, of course. So you'll see mythic marauders day 1 of the adventure. That doesn't mean players are getting mythic loot. That means that those mythic marauders just spawn there, and no one can kill them until
You reach a
that tier
higher
of loot unlocks. Yes.
Okay, that's sick.
So it's definitely something I think I really can't wait to get the players' feedback on the update in general, because I think I want to make sure that these marauders are in the best state that they can be to have map number 3 once it officially starts be a fun experience for everyone.
And also, is there any way to implement hardware bans? Because we need, like for example, people like Rogane, they cheat a lot, so they need to get hardware banned, for example, because IP bans don't really hold them. Because you could just use a VPN and that's it. Is there any way to implement hardware bans?
Hardware bans, I don't know the full technical aspect of what goes into being able to successfully do that. It's not something we've ever done in the past, but I mean,
Because I know on Lunar Client they were talking about implementing hardware bans where it just copies the hardware ID of your system, like for example the graphics card, the CPU, the memory, all that stuff, and they just put it on a whitelist. And then if you get banned, they blacklist those hardware. And then if you hop on a new account or something, that you're automatically banned again because they just read your hardware.
So Lunar Client is an actual application on your computer, so it can read that information.
Yeah.
Cosmic as a server doesn't have access to that information, such as your hardware ID or anything like that. The only thing we get access to when you connect to the server is, of course, your Internet Protocol IP address, which is the highest tier of ban we can do.
So is there any way of adding Cosmic Client back to be able to do that?
If we... Okay. If we do that, it's not going to stop them from just going on vanilla, because of course if they're cheating, they're not going to be on Cosmic Client, right?
You can just do it like what Lunar.gg did, where you could only log onto the server with Cosmic Client.
Okay, that is definitely interesting. I'd like to bring Cosmic Client back one day if we've got the time, resources, and availability to do it, but it's of course just not on the books for right now. But maybe one day that time will come where we can add the Cosmic Client back, and we can look into these sorts of things and look at what Lunar Client has succeeded on in these past few years that we could replicate, mimic, or do however we want to do. But there's an open world there, but just not something that is going to be looked at for map number 3, I'd say.
Okay, and last question: is there ever going to be backpacks added to Adventure or the island or Cosmic in general?
Backpack sort of items, I don't want to say no for sure, but I don't want to do that. We have a different solution for adventurers and having full inventories that is the next in line to be worked on, I think. So that hopefully can be live beta tested as well with these adventure changes. Probably not on Monday, but sometime in the next week, ideally. But we've got different solutions than just having a backpack, which can be exploitable if...
Yeah.
I mean, we always do it good, so you guys can't really exploit, but there is always small stuff that does come up.
Mm-hmm. Like what Taza did with Emmy Satchels on Prisons, map 10.
Well, Prisons is different than Sky. Prisons is bad, so yeah.
I got you. All right, take
All
it.
right, have a good one. Prisons. Magical, welcome up.
All right. So,
hello.
Hello. So, is there any for the next map or any other future map? Is there any sort of like idea about making like sort of like a tech tree almost that's kind of like mimics what player levels were before in Cold Sky.
Tech tree that limits
Like-
or mimics player levels. Yeah. There is a lot of upsides and downsides to doing those sorts of skill trees where you can pick and choose what you want your class to be. At the end of the day, what it always comes down to is there's one route which is always the best route for everyone, and that's just what everyone does. It just completely ruins the variability of those tech trees. That is what happens with like 99% of the time we do some sort of those tech trees. So I don't want to say that's like not something that we'll ever do, but it's not something that like it's not something that we're considering, of course, for map number 3, but you're kind of saying for like future maps as well. So I wouldn't call it off the books. I'd say it's really going to depend on the feedback from this map, the current overall like problems we have at this end of this map that we want to address for next map and everything. But yeah.
It's just because a lot, like I know near the end of the map, people just had an abundance of money laying around, and it was just, if I recall correctly, it's like player levels. I'm pretty sure the price for them scaled exponentially as like bought each level, correct? So I was just
Yes, they
trying to think
did.
of, like some sort of like money sink or something like that for those people that are just having all this money and producing it on malts and all that.
Yep. I think eco is definitely going to be different this map with the skill changes we're doing and with the economy changes we are doing, but definitely having more sorts of money sinks as well for those like late games and everything.
All right, that's all.
Yep. All right, have a good one.
Shout out my favorite.
Oh, sorry, you tried to say something there, but you got cut off. That's so unfortunate. I wonder what lovely thing he tried to say. Welcome up, Bio.
Hello. I guess last Q&A there was a lot of talk about sets being easier to make, and I was wondering how that's going to be implemented in terms of gems. Like, are gems going to be more common? Are pre-open gems going to be open to the loot table, or is the drop rates of high-level enchants from opening gems going to be changed, or something else entirely?
Of course, the drop rate for gems, I don't know if Tater you want to go into it, but of course, adventure loot tables are all being changed, so those are also being changed with that.
Yeah, we are trying to drop more things to make it a little bit easier for sets to be built. And this will kind of go into, again, like when you guys are testing out in the live beta the new adventures and the loot and everything, like making sure that it feels the way it should as far as like obtaining those types of items. But we are trying to have more gems be dropped, more enchants essentially being available to you guys as players. Now, as far as like the higher tiered stuff, I know I'm still looking at data around that as far as like dropping direct gems, like already opened gems of certain levels and types. I would prefer not to do that, only because we still want it to be something that you guys have to obtain and earn. I don't really want to just drop the straight up enchants themselves, but we'll see. There's a lot of stuff that I still have to go through and check on that. But as far as making sets, we are definitely trying to make that a little bit easier for you guys this map, for sure.
Yeah, I think another thing that I think would be cool is making dust a lot cheaper or more common relative to gems, because I find that when I like say want a specific enchant for farming or to build a set, that it's often cheaper for me to just buy multiple of that gem instead of dusting it down, because dust is so expensive that it's more worthwhile to just like buy it until I eventually get it.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with diluting the dust, it just kind of takes that out of the eco then. There's no longer an eco for dust. It's so common that there's no point in even selling it, kind of thing. Whereas the way that it sounds like it is right now, like there's, at least if you're getting dust and you're not planning on using it, at least you can make some money off of it. So I don't know. We'll see about that one. I hear what you're saying, but I don't want to remove an item necessarily from having an eco around it just to.
Yeah, I don't think it should be like heavily buffed, but I just found that like it's only really worthwhile using on the like absolute best enchants.
Yeah, we'll see though.
Okay. I did have another.
Always exhausted. That's why.
I did have another question in regards to. I know some people have been asking for duels so that they could like casually do PvP or like just get better at doing it with sets without like risking the sets. And some other people also wanted risk duels so that they could do 1v1s without interference from other people, like coming in and 2v or 3v1ing them.
Duels have always been a thing in the past where they're prone to issues, especially on Cosmic Sky being a super server and everything. We've had our fair share of issues with duels. Definitely something I want to keep on the books for potentially bringing back either during this map, during next map, for next map, whatnot. Because of course the system is there, but I just don't know what all it need like requires to like bring it fully back. But just having that sort of PvP area where players can fight with each other and choose that sort of stuff, I definitely want to have more of that sort of stuff for players. So I'm definitely gonna have it noted down and see what we want to do with that. But I can't guarantee like when that would be.
Yep. Awesome, because I think it's like it would just be nice when you get bored, you can just like casually fight someone, and still have something to do on the server.
Yeah, I mean you've also got adventures that you can casually go to, but yeah.
And the other thing was, is there any like possibility of? I remember from the old Cosmic Sky sell wands. They were quite cool and they made it a lot more convenient and easier to sell. Like when you've got like a huge stack of chests full of stuff, instead of having to take it out and manually sell it all.
Sell wands.
Yeah. Where it was like a wand, you'd right click the chest and it would sell all the contents of the chest for you.
Chat. We didn't have that, right? I'm pretty sure that was PvP that had something like that. But yeah, we've got our auto sell bot. But yeah, we never had like a specific sell wand which sold items from chests. But yeah, Cosmic PvP had that sell wand.
Oh yeah, maybe I'm getting mixed up.
Yeah. It was not a thing map one. I remember selling all my thousands of chests worth of melons.
And I guess the last quick thing would be, I feel skill tokens are quite expensive. Like at the current price, I think at the start of the map they were 5k before dynamic pricing, if I remember correctly. Now they're 8k, which is 120k for all 15. That's nearly equivalent to buying a galactic rank every single map.
Skill tokens are also obtainable in game. You have to realize they're going to be even more obtainable with like the changes we're doing to adventure loot tables. They're going to be more available from those, and then with mini games, that's also a avenue which I'm going to be looking into potentially. Us adding mini game either shards or skill token shards or skill tokens overall just into those sorts of loot tables to make these skill tokens more accessible to players.
Right. Yeah.
And
I feel...
Chat is saying they're so rare and impossible to get in game though, but that was last map's loot table. Sure, this map again, every single item that you get from adventures is being tweaked in terms of like their drop chances.
Yeah,
Right,
the biggest thing around skill tokens as well is like let's be honest, map 1 they were way too common. Like people had max skill tokens day 1. So there was just no eco around them at all. Map 2, now granted, it was completely the opposite. They were a lot harder to obtain, a lot more difficult, way higher rarity. We're trying to find that happy balance with it. We're trying to find it where like they're not super common, like they're not like everybody's got max skill tokens week 1 type deal, but we're also trying to build an eco around them as well. So
yep. Sweet.
And
that's all my questions. Thanks.
Yep.
Up next we've got Mr. Aries.
Hello?
Hello.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. I've got a few questions I prepared, because usually I don't prepare them and then I'm all over the place. But I remember you mentioned earlier that there's going to be a chaotic center added this map or upcoming map. Are there going to be incentives to grinding like in KO and or just like near it? Because I remember in the past people used to get hit into KO a lot when they were grinding. Are there going to be like incentives to grinding close to it?
Yes, I'm trying to aim because of course this map, heroic and mythic items are going to be a lot more like prevalent for like your progression and everything. So I'm trying to aim for like making those more common in that proximity, like inside of the chaotic zone, as well as just around the chaotic zone, to have more players needing to go there to try to get like the highest chance to get some of these items. So there's definitely going to be that, and then there's also going to be certain like Marauder buffs if you are chaotic.
Okay, and then
players, so players who are chaotic will be able to grind these new Marauders and have buffs that other players wouldn't typically have.
yeah, and then a follow-up question to that: are there going to be because I remember they used to have pets that would let you hit them in. Are there going to be pets added as well?
No shockwave slimes, no knockback enchants. So there's not going to be there's not going to be any way to knock someone into the chaotic zone other than just like normally hitting them or comboing them and whatnot.
Okay. And then my next question: will Scavenger? I don't know if you've already answered this, but I'm thinking that it will be. But will Scavenger still be a thing next map? And if so, what changes have been made to it to make it more enjoyable?
Do you think Scavenger is enjoyable in the current state that it is in now?
I've been playing in a while, so but the last time I played it was kind of boring. So I don't know what changes might have been done to it so far, but is there anything you guys plan on doing still?
I guess question for you and for members in the chat: with adventures now being primarily lawful, would you guys still go to Scavenger knowing that adventure's completely lawful and you like bring your own set and adventure and everything?
Probably not. I mean, I didn't. That's the main reason I didn't really go Scavenger last map, just because lawful was a thing again. So I kind of like that.
Okay. Just reading some of the chat messages as
You're
well.
good.
Because so the whole thing with Scavenger, we don't have a definite solution on Scavenger at the moment. It's something that we're actively working on. So I can't give you like a definite answer on what is happening with Scavenger, but it is definitely like we'll have something for Scavenger.
Okay.
By map number 3, we'll have some sort of update for. I mean, we'll either have an update for it or we'll just remove it. I don't want to say what exactly the plan is because it's not finalized, but still a work in progress, I'd say.
That makes sense. And then the next one you might have answered this already, but will PvP be enabled during the testing phase?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And then I remember one of the things that a lot of people were complaining about last map was the amount of people winning jackpot with just one ticket. Is that going to be RNG? Okay, because I remember in the past a lot of times it could happen, but usually you just see people winning with like a lot of like percentage, but we didn't see it that much.
RNG.
Oh, okay, perfect. All right, that's my last question. Thank you so much.
Alrighty, have a good one.
You too. Bye.
What is this? 5 dooms, 5 big dooms. I think there's an inside joke there I'm not getting. Alrighty, Mr. Scootley.
Hello. Right, I'm just wondering if there's like any way that you can stop like turn off all pay to win for like the first week. And that's like a business and all that, but it kind of just like ruins like the first 1 or 2 days because you end up grinding and then you do all these hours and then all of a sudden some guy just spends like 50 quid and then he's just well ahead of you. Like,
Can I answer this one, Apple?
Yeah, anytime I see it unmute Tater, I'm just gonna assume that you're gonna take it, so you're good.
Yeah, so one of the things you have to understand is there's different types of players. There's players that can spend a ton of time on a game, and there's players that don't have as much time as you, and they spend what they have, which is money. So I'll use myself as a huge example for that. I don't have the amount of time that somebody else might have to just grind out a game like crazy. So I grind out a job, which means that I can then take that money that I make from that job, put that into the game that I enjoy, and be able to do certain things that somebody who can grind 10 hours on a game in a day can do. So to answer your question, no, we wouldn't turn off pay to win, but we're also going to be very intentional with pay to win as well. It's not going to be like it was last map where you've got people pulling full maps day 3, tons of fragments day 3, things like that. Like, we're going to be very intentional with the items that are going into the pay to win so that it's not crazy, but at the same token, we're not just going to turn it off. Like, there are a bunch of players who do appreciate that type of stuff because it helps them in their grind because they can't spend as much time as other players.
No. I get what you mean, mate. Right, but like, I work full time, and then I'll come on and I'll grind while I can. Sure, I could spend my money, but I shouldn't realistically have to keep up. If you get what I mean.
I mean, you don't have to. Like, if you want to grind in game, there's going to be things that you can do in
not going
game.
to progress anywhere, am I? You know.
Why not?
Because I don't have the time. Like, unless I spend 70, like a load of money. But oh well. My other question is, and this is getting nowhere. Will there be any Christmas events or anything? Is there like anything planned for over the Christmas period, like bosses or anything for Christmas?
We are going to be right up in that alley of Christmas time. I don't want to say for sure what. There's nothing like fully planned right now, I'd say. Definitely an opportunity there to do some sort of Christmas stuff. I know we had like a Christmas realm in the past, I think, or those prisons. Definitely we would like to do something if possible, but I can't guarantee or give any other info other than yes, we'd like to do something for Christmas.
All right, yo, and one last thing, because did you manage to sort the rep out for the island members?
You're talking about Fires Island?
Yeah. A few of them.
Yeah, that'll be sorted before the start of map number 3, but that's definitely like still on the devs' radar. Cause yeah.
All right, perfect. Cheers, lad.
Yep. Alrighty, have a good one. Next, Mr. David.
Alright. I have one question. It's not referring to Sky at all, but I'm gonna ask it anyways.
Okie dokie.
Can we have at least somewhat of an idea when Prisons is coming back?
If I had any information on that, then A, I probably wouldn't be able to tell you, but B, I just don't have any information on that just overall, so I couldn't tell you for sure, man. It's something I know, like, every time I see people saying, hey, when is Prisons coming back, when is Prisons coming back, like, speaking from my perspective, the message is out there that the want for Prisons is real, and I'd love Prisons to come back too, sure, but what the time scale on that would be, on what the possibility of that would be, is just not something that's in my range of knowledge, I'd say. Yep. Just fingers crossed for one day. That's all I can say. Alrighty.
One more thing.
So
Referring
that's more.
to Sky. Are you guys releasing any more CCs/loot boxes anytime soon or no?
Well, I mean, for starters, we're on our downtime right now for releasing up to map number 3, but I mean, we're going to have our normal monetization like we've typically had. We don't have CCs on the server, but I hope that kind of answers your question.
All right.
Yes? No? Nope. Alrighty. So now up next we have Mr. Radio again. Hello.
Yo.
Hello.
So I have a really quick question about the ESPing issue, because
Mhm.
I heard that there were like ender chests added into like at least demonic that you can't open, but I feel like most people are just gonna like remember where those are. I don't know if it's like different per adventure. Like for example, in like 1 and 4, they would be in different spots. I don't know how that is because I don't ESP, but loads of people do.
So it's not possible to have those be in different spots, I'd say. Just because all the adventure maps share the same exact build, unless the build is like manually changed on that adventure. The way I set up the specific ender chests, the fake ones, which if they're fake, no one should know about them because they're hidden under the map. How do they know about them?
No,
But the way I set those up on the demonic adventure is all the ones in the center, and I think on the islands as well. Basically, there's a chest, and 2 or 3 blocks underneath that chest is the fake ender chest.
Yeah.
So that ideally would be a really big pain for like the middle of chaotic of that one. But in the other 3 adventures, I wasn't as like methodical because that took me like 2 hours to put all those ones just in demonic. So then the other 3 adventures, I just added a bunch more just like random scatterings of ender chests just like down underneath the map. Of course, we can't really do something up on the top of the map, but since this whole chest ESP thing for ender chests is becoming, there seems like it's become so much of an issue. Like, I'm gonna talk to the team about it, but I'm almost inclined to just do a poll: should heroic and mythic chests be displayed as normal chests instead of ender chests at this point? Because like, if you're that like low level, you've got to use ESP to find a friggin' ender chest. Just like, get a pair of prescription glasses, because I know 60 people on this call. One of you probably has done it before. So get some glasses, man.
I
What the hell?
don't use glasses, but I can't see anything. I think I do, but yeah.
Alrighty. Well, use shulkers for Glenn. They'll just ESP shulkers, man. That's even worse. Alrighty. Oh, yeah, all good. Have a good one.
That's it.
Alrighty. Mr. Boogie.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
I got 2 questions. First one is, will we be getting more rewards for doing the slash challenge?
More rewards for doing this last challenge. The first tutorial quest you're talking about?
Yeah, doing slash challenge.
No, that's not supposed to be like a rewarding thing. That's supposed to be, if you're a new player, that's supposed to teach you the basics of the server and force you to explore these sorts of things, such as the crafting system, the node system, the scavenger system, and the custom recipe system. It forces you to explore these so that you can be more knowledgeable about the server before you start like playing it.
Yeah, the only reason I was asking that is because back in old Cosmic, before you guys shut down, you would get like a lot more rewards for doing challenges and like slash challenge and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But-
And every map it was exploited. Yep.
Oh. But the second,
Going on
second
alts, yep.
question is, will it be easier to get seeds this map, or is it just going to be the same?
Again, all the adventure loot tables are changing. I can't say for sure, like, because it really depends on the type of seeds. Some seeds are going to be a lot more exclusive than others.
I'll straight up tell you guys it's going to be harder to get seeds.
There you go. Yeah.
Well,
Now it's Tater's fault because he said it.
Yep.
Nah, I'm not mad. It's because I play solo most of the time because I have no friends. But yeah, it's just harder for me to get seeds and stuff because I'm just solo and I'm not playing with anyone at all. So.
Yeah, I mean, again, the goal is to try to slow down progression a little bit. So, looking at the previous loot tables, like seeds were being given out like crazy. So, the goal definitely with these updated loot tables is to definitely slow that down a little bit. Again, there may be some changes that need to be made to it. We'll see, but I think with the adjustments that I've made, I think it's going to be a good balance of slowing down the progression and then also making it where there's going to be an eco around some of these items that there wasn't an eco around before. Seeds are going to be something where when you get them, you're not just tossing them out because they're too common. Like, you're actually going to need them for your island, or if you've got enough for your island, then you're going to be able to sell them and still make some money from them. So that's kind of the double idea behind it. But yeah, they will be harder to obtain than they were last map for sure.
All right, I got one more question. My bad. Is it going to be easier to be breaking the crops, or is it still going to be the same? Because it was kind of annoying, just keep whacking and whacking.
It was annoying. Did you? What did your enchant set look like?
I didn't have any enchants because this was the first time I played ever since it reopened. So.
Gotcha. So there's definitely a lot of different areas to improve that sort of speed. It sucks that there isn't easy knowledge that you can increase that. So like potentially like adding some sort of farming enchant thing to the tutorial, maybe. But yeah, that's just a knowledge gap there because there are like, I mean, assuming you've used like a /is tool farming hoe, right? Because that's the one.
Wait, hold on, Boogie. Did you know about the enchants?
Yeah, I knew about the enchants.
Oh, so then why didn't you use them?
I told you I was only playing for like 2 weeks, and then it wasn't
Right, but
really
even okay,
doing bad
but
RNG
but
with the.
wait. So hold on. So you played for 2
Yeah,
weeks.
I played for like 1.5 weeks, and it was like
That's
fun
cool.
enough. So
Right, that's cool. But like, so you knew about the enchants. You didn't get the enchants.
I was getting some, but it wasn't really
Right.
useful. So I just tossed them out.
Oh,
It wasn't useful, but you still took a while to break the crops.
Yeah, no, I didn't put any on it. I was getting
Right.
like gems and enchantments, but I wasn't getting sockets. And I wasn't getting good buck enchantments for it. Maybe it was just really bad RNG. I was getting like unbreaking and stuff.
no, but it's not vanilla enchants. It's the. Were you
The gem.
using the island tool hoe?
Yeah, that's what I was
Okay. What level was it? Do you remember? Like, was it the appropriate level?
I think
Like, did you come in? Because if you came in at the end of the map and you were on an island, and you were trying to break crops that were high tier crops, but you had a low level hoe.
I was on like carrots on someone's island. I was making carrots with like a level 17, 20-ish, 17.
Yeah.
Cool. So do you just have to get it higher and stuff to get sockets or something on it? Or is it just like
Yeah, you get a guaranteed socket once the hoe reaches level 25. And then as well, you've got the different armor set enchants you could apply, or the different farming hoe enchants you could apply just to buff that break speed.
Yeah, I didn't.
But I
didn't
think
know
it.
about the armor
Mhm.
enchantment. I knew about the tool enchantment.
Yeah, but it really at that point I think it does come down to as well of like the aspect of sets not being easy to make, and then we're also cooking on a way to like differentiate some gems between like a combat gem and a skill gem, whatnot, to reduce the like to add a bit more intentionality with getting gems, and then also like to reduce like the amount of gems in certain pools. So because all the gems are in one pool right now, if you're trying to get PvP enchants, half the gems you get are farming enchants. That just makes the PvP enchants more rare.
Okay.
So definitely got a lot of different enchant stuff we're doing. But on the topic of like your original concern, like there are ways to buff that harvesting speed. I think making sets being easier to build is definitely going to be a big part of opening that world up to more players like yourself who only play for like 2 weeks. But yeah.
All right, yeah, that's most of it. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you.
Alrighty, sweet. Let's get a chant going. Last one, last one, last one. ABCD man. Welcome,
Hello,
welcome.
hello. Can you hear me?
Hello, yes I can.
All right. I just wanted to make a quick point. It was based on what Radio was talking about with the hidden e-chest. Make sure you fill the holes when you do that, so that you can actually see the fake chest.
There was 2 holes, I think, and those
Yeah,
are
and
filled
okay.
for the next map. Those are saved on the dev because I changed them on the live server for you that one time, and I changed them on dev where the map actually is going to save. So
Okay. Anyways, first question.
wasn't a
For next
question?
season. No, that was just a statement. First question. Can we get an IS like upgrade related to like hopper speed to increase hopper speed?
No,
No. Like that you could go
because
through it.
the custom plugin that we used in the past to change how fast hoppers can move and manipulate items is not something that we have updated for this 1.20.4 server.
Okay.
So that's of course on the backlog of things that we'd eventually like to get to one day, but as of right now, that's not something that's possible.
All right. And then Tater talked about how seeds were gonna be like harder to get for next season. Obviously that's a good thing, but could like hoes see a like perk added to them where it's like a max like 0.01% chance to get a seed of the type that you're manually harvesting? So
There already
it's more of a
is
benefit like for later games, like when you have a bunch of crops, because you're gonna obviously get more with the percent chance, but like a plantable seed, like a 0.01% chance to get a plantable seed.
There already is that for just vanilla harvesting, and there's also a attribute you can get on your IS skill tools. I think it's called specialty drops, which does apply to the chance to get one of these vanilla seeds.
Oh, okay.
It's just maybe it's too rare if you're not seeing that drop.
Okay. Yeah, I just
Right.
from my experience, I didn't see that drop at all from last season. But that could just be my luck. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll have it on the. I'll put it on the list. Just audit that percentage, see if we want to tweak it a bit. But yeah.
All right. And then I think that's everything I had.
Alrighty, thank you, thank
Pretty
you.
good.
I saw you unmuted there, Rob. Do you have something to add?
Huh?
Did you?
Oh, no,
I saw
sorry.
you unmuted
No.
there.
Oh no, we're vibing.
Yeah, alrighty.
Unless
So, yeah.
there was any questions you didn't, because I had to dip for like 30 minutes or actually 40 minutes there. If I missed any questions that I could potentially answer that you didn't, but other than that, no, I'm chilling.
No,
Playing
cool.
with the
Yeah.
cat.
I need a cat, man. Sad. Well, yeah. So that's.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm muted.
Yeah. So that's gonna do it for our voice chat portion of this. Oh, we got the camera out. Hold on, we have a cat moment here. How's a cat? He'd be fluffy. Nice. But yeah, that's going to do it for the voice chat portion of this. I am going to open up for the next 5-10 minutes. If you guys have any additional questions that weren't able to be gotten to, if you guys want to ask it in the Cosmic Sky stage chat, just going to go through from the top here a little bit and just answer some questions I see so far.
He's not fat, by the way. He's not fat. He is average weight. Sorry.
Okay.
Everyone's saying the cat's fat, but yeah, sorry. Continue.
Wow.
He's not.
It's beetroots are still annoying compared to other even higher crops. What exactly is annoying about a Morrigan? Desi says, is there any change to gems, like chance for higher tier level or the cost? Nothing with the cost. The chance for the higher tier level is something we're looking at, like with splitting up the gems to be half combat, half skill, whatnot, like separating them in that sort of sense. Of course, we're figuring out the exact way to separate them in that sort of sense, but that's going to make it so if you're opening combat-specific gems, you'll have a higher chance to get, say, Lifesteal 5 because you don't have that extra 80 options to get different farming custom enchants. So it's going to heavily increase the availability from those. Putting gems in IS tools, temporary. Another note I have for map number 3 for the dev is to make it so, on top of right now, you have a requirement of having the adventure map unlocked before you can upgrade an IS tool from, say, stone to iron. I'm also going to have him look at adding, another, manual player action in order to upgrade that. Because right now, if you have the map, then yes, you just upgrade from stone to iron immediately. But players who don't want to upgrade from stone to iron should have a way to say, no, I don't want to upgrade this right now, and be able to come back to it later if they so choose. That's definitely something looking to add for this map.
Why don't we
says,
just do level 100? So it's each tier goes to level 100. And then you have to quote unquote prestige it to get to the next, because then that makes, because I agree with the player's confusion of I hit the next tier and then it takes off all my enchants. This is so lame. So if I think everyone would get the idea of prestiging it. It's do you want to prestige your pickaxe? It upgrades the tier so it's way stronger, but you'll lose all of your enchants and you're I don't know if I want to do that. I feel like that'd be really clear, way more clear.
Yeah. I agree, the prestige thing would be a bit more clear. The only thing I'm concerned about with that is the current scaling of the IS tools is in an okay spot in my opinion. So to have to then make it so that scaling is reduced into 3 different 100 level things is going to be almost
it's the same XP. Same XP though, it doesn't matter. Nothing changes. Just visually.
Yes, but if it's the same XP, say for the stone one, you're going to get 10 levels from one crop break sometimes.
Yeah, that sounds fun. That sounds fun.
Sounds like spam and breaking the system a little bit. And also it would change how Maybe in the future, I'd say I think the best route to
I
go
got
for
you.
that would be to yeah.
I got you. I just don't
yeah.
think like the opt-in to the prestige, like that's a good word to use. I feel like people get.
I mean, yeah, we can still use the word prestige. Just like, your pickaxe has reached a level milestone. Would you like to prestige it to iron? Yes. No. No. Okay. Run this command if you want to do it in the future. Something like that. But yeah. Cool. Aries asked, testing to be sure the server opening of map number 3 proceeds smoother, and we aren't looking at mandatory resets. Though, yeah, the whole aspect of this public test beta we're going to be running over the next 3 weeks is to test out these updates to make sure there's no like critical failures on like a live server. Because of course, if there's ever like there's no issues on the dev server, but on the live server with 100 plus players testing at the same time, everything breaks. Those sorts of things aren't easy to catch in that dev environment. We're going to be able to catch those in this sort of public test beta. And then as well, just like the whole balancing of updates during this public test beta is going to ideally increase the longevity of the server, because everything's going to be more balanced. We're not going to have a thing like this map where players reach a point, they don't think everything's balanced, and they end up quitting. So definitely going to... It's definitely going to help this beta thing we're going to be doing starting on Monday. Yeah, was there a feature you can see all gem enchants? Yes, so you can do /help enchants in game to see that. Do admins get notifications when IGN attempts to join on an IP flagged as a VPN? I can't say much about the notifications that admins get, like those, like, yeah, I can't say much about those, but that's definitely like additional VPN flags is of course something that we'd love to catch when we can. It really depends on the VPN. But I will add an extra note to see what all like additional things we can do to kind of prevent VPNs on top of the current systems we have. Alrighty. Yo, Rob, when's H7M? So
No.
Sky versus Blue Red Meh. Can we get patch notes a little earlier? So you'll be getting yeah, just now. You'll be getting patch notes for there goes my headset. You'll be getting patch notes for updates like that are being tested in the public test beta as they come out. So as soon as this whole Adventure Marauder system is like released on Monday for the public test beta, there's going to be like the whole slew of patch notes just for the Marauders being released then. And then as we're like public testing some of these updates, that's when we will be like releasing the sort of patch notes. And then we'll have like the one main patch notes for anyone who wasn't paying attention or wasn't in the public test beta to read through once the server fully releases.
I like that idea of that Discord thread though. I think who was it? Box Cutter? Was that their name? I can't remember. Kimmy, no, stop biting it. But I like the idea of that individual channel. That's like maybe we just use updates for that, where it's not like an at everyone every time, but it's like, hey, Marauders, and like this is their thought process, and like, hey, trophies, like this is what we're like gonna be putting out. I like that. Not like a spam, but.
Yeah, my plan was just to use the changelog channel and not just give pings every time there's something. But if there's ever any changes or new updates, it'll be posted there so it's visible. And then anytime or whenever we do like the full map reset, that's when the @Cosmic Sky player ping is going to be with the whole
yeah, perfect.
Big list.
I love
of updates.
that. That's good. We like that.
Yep. What's being done for 80% of the player base that wants to play in 3 to 5 man groups? Like I said earlier in the Q&A, that's not something that we are going to be addressing for map number 3 because we're addressing the overall balance of the server first. But definitely something in the future addressing the competitive
Well, that's
versus
not true.
non-competitive.
That's not necessary. I know because I was listening before, and you are right. Like we're not doing the leagues, but with the new trophy system and level cap, the idea is that 3 to 5 man groups, maybe like 5 to 6 man groups, definitely should be able to keep up with the cap. If you're just not bad, ideally.
Yeah, I haven't really touched.
Yeah, and I know you already have it on your notes to look at the requirements to unlock certain mobs, because I do agree that's kind of crazy. Like the whole killing 1 million zombies, or what was it, killing 1 million blazes? It's like it's just not fun. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
But like, what is? I guess the question would be like, what is that? What's compete mean to that player? You know, like, is it trophies? Because if it's trophies, then I think this new system will help with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd
I
love to
probably
touch
should have
more.
chatted with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to touch more on the trophies as soon as we've got like the finalized like plan of trophies and we've actually started doing some testing of the new system. But until then, just because things are always like being molded and changed in their current processes, and right now I don't want to give out too much information just to have it be completely different from what actually ends up happening. But
I think we can mention a little bit like that trophies are only available in slot bots.
Robert, we'll talk later. We'll talk later. Don't worry.
I'm kidding, by the way. Guys, I'm kidding. Or am I? I don't know.
You know, he's lying because it's slot bots and loot boxes. There you go. Boom.
Right. Oh, right. Yeah.
Yep. Alrighty. Doing some more questions here. Is it intended? I already read that one. Any multi-gems added? No. Add bedboards minigame eventually, probably yes. Minigames be in the beta? Yes. Depending on when they're done, yes. But ideally, those are going to be one of the things we're working on as soon as this next adventure thing's done. What's the deal with useless recipes like treacle tart? Every recipe has been audited and is going to be. They have new multipliers essentially in terms of what their base sell price is. So treacle tart, because it requires a really high amount of fuel, will sell for. I have it written down here as. I guess it. Okay, treacle tart. I have it down here to sell for like $12,300 is like the base sell price. That is considering that the base items such as the sugarcane and the diamonds are being reduced with their prices as well. So it'll fit in ideally with a lot of the other custom recipes that we have, but there's a lot of different multipliers and effects going into what determines the base sell price of these custom recipes now. Let's see. Give me a challenge to complete for map number 3. No. We've been changing how long it takes to unlock endgame content like Dead Zone. Dead Zone is going to be included in a level cap. So Dead Zone will unlock on the specified day, and the Dead Zone portal lighters will unlock on the specified day that their type of loot unlocks. Is there anything being done so that there's different IS tops for players? Eventually, I'd like to do that, not for right now. Any advertisement for the new maps? That is not something I have confirmed. I believe Rob and Pleston were planning on making a series. I can check up with them on that and see what is happening with that. But yep. Should be full admin. Are you in the thick of it? I don't know what that means. Hard challenge to complete for map number 3. Touch grass. Treacle tart recipe. Yep, already mentioned treacle tart. Are you promoting the server to bring in new players? I don't know the plan on that right now. I'm going to be double checking with Rob because that's more his end sort of stuff. Give me add Emmy mine. No, we cannot. Challenge again. Wormhole. Okay, you guys are just trolling at this point. Are you keeping the zones in adventure the same? I did usually making all maps map fluffy. Yes. Every map, to touch on adventures a bit more, every map, there is going to be 3 safe zone or 3 lawful zone areas. So when you spawn in the adventure, you will spawn in the safe zone, which is right on the border. You then walk straight forward into a town, which is going to be a lawful zone. Each of these towns holds about 50 chests each in this lawful zone. And then once you leave this lawful zone, you're going to enter the PvP enabled zone. So as a lawful player, you'll be able to be hit by chaotic players, but you'll be lawful, so you won't lose any of your items. But in the lawful zone, lawful players are not able to be hit, but lawful players can hit chaotic players if they are in the lawful zone. Same for neutral players. And then, yes, the entirety of the adventure will be chaotic. The entirety of adventures will be lawful. Players will still have the /PvP command, so they can go chaotic without having to actually go to the center region. And yeah. IS tool will become unusable when it's at 0 durability. There does need to be some sort of risk to IS tools, I think, unless otherwise it would just encourage more AFK grinding overall. But there's definitely reasons that we don't have it like that, so that your tool is just like saved before it breaks and whatnot. Going to be Kit Carnage free gems to check drop rates. There is currently Kit Carnage, and there will be some sort of kit for when we do the public test. So yeah, there's going to be definitely a kit. So if you didn't have any items during map number 2, you'll be able to get a kit of adventure loot and just go, or get a kit of gear, go in adventures and try it out. Beta is going to be kit carnage, yeah. Any balance changes to fish sell prices? Yes, fish are going to be the most high selling values in the game. I don't have it up right. I do have it up. Let's see. Shop prices not finalized, but lowest tier fish tadpole would sell for $10. Highest tier fish guardian scale would sell for $10,000. Guardian coil would sell for $25,000. Theoretically, first iteration, not finalized. Timelines on prisons coming out. 2015. GUI for enchants. Wiki doesn't say anything about hose, human plentiful seed. If it says it's a specialty drop attribute, then that's what attribute does that. It might just not be specific enough to say about what it does, which I can look at, seeing if we can fix that. Alrighty, new players into the server. Of course, advertising is the best way to do that, but overall, just having a fun game, having a good tutorial is like the best things we can do for right now, which we're working on the fun balanced game sort of aspect. But eventually for the future, I'd love to have some sort of more advertising options for, of course, increasing the amount of player counts on the server. When wood chopping ice skill, interesting. We've thought about it, but it's not for map number 3. We'd like to see if we can do it eventually, but we got some interesting ideas for that. Skill tokens more common. Eventually loot tables are being changed. They will be more common. Needs to be on the player. Battle Royale when? Battle Royale right now. Diamonds will be even cheaper when sell. Yes, they will be. Because fishing is going to be the best way to get money. No break IS tools. Again, not for map number 3. Why no neutral anymore? You'll still be able to go neutral if you are like. I guess that's another note I didn't mention earlier. Whenever you hit any of these, whenever you kill any of these new marauders in this new system, you will become neutral for a short period of time. So I think killing a basic marauder makes you neutral for 8 seconds, but then that stacks up with all the other marauders that you kill. So you will be neutral in adventures at times. So you will have a bit of a risk, but it's not like you're constantly neutral, whatnot. Almost caught up, guys. Trust me. Checked out any of the Cosmic Roommates test servers? No, because I like having my IP private. Hear me out, Hunger Game minigame. Yes, Cosmic Fishing. Alrighty, and that's just about at the end. The last question I will ask, or answer, is X-Violet. Adding custom enchants to fishing rods. Maybe. Maybe we are. We will see, but ideally, yes, there will be. Alrighty, well, that is going to wrap it up for today's Q&A, guys. Thank you all for hopping in. Like I said, Monday is going to be our public test beta, so you guys will be able to hop on, test out some of these new adventure changes, the loot, all this fun stuff, and be able to give some feedback on that. And then hopefully we can have another small Q&A chat or just suggestion posts after that to get some more feedback on that system. But it's been really productive today. Thank you, guys. And yeah, you all have a good one.